pretty nice. Setbacks and stuff, so.
Well, I know we can't say consistent.
No, we've been trying to get to take that next time.
So we got it on, so.
It's fabric.
It's heavy, we have actually other.
I haven't watched it.
I'm just kind of regretting that we don't have like a red carpet Grammy session for the committee. So we can come out. Anyway, hey, welcome back. It's always so fun to meet you and to be with you, and I'm always looking forward to this meeting. So we have a busy agenda. We're going to try to stay on time because we have lots of things to do. But the first thing I want to do is turn it over to Elfie, who has been lovely to work with, like all my co-chairs in the past. Turn it over to you.
Okay, so my understanding of my task is that it's a little bit of an icebreaker, just so that we can continue to get to know one another. And so we have 10 minutes for this, right?
Yep.
Okay, so the idea is everybody has a penny and it has a year on it. And I know some of these years are before some people were born. So if you want to change, please, I've got extras. Or maybe there's some historical event that happened and maybe you'd like to talk about that. Anyway. So the idea is you look at the year and think of maybe there's some point that is a point in your life that you could tell us just a little bit about what happened in that year in your life. And just a sentence or two or three. And yeah, that's what the idea is. Everybody should have a penny.
is older than me.
Oh, surprise.
No, yours isn't. What were you doing at?
Oh!
Oh my gosh.
Like ghosts on it.
Wow.
This is disorienting.
Boy, right on the heels of past. 2019.
2019.
2019,
Thank you. That is scary.
Well, somebody's vertigo.
That was quite an exercise.
Oh, no, okay.
2018.
Great, how are you?
That's you.
Thank you.
So that's
Thanks, Or.
We're doing a little-
There.
you look at the year on that penny and if there's an anecdote in your life or something you remember from that year, then you share it. It might be before you're born, I don't know. I tried to get a selection of pennies that was within the scope, but.
You're gonna have to do the whole rotating and then.
Yeah.
Is this an agenda? Do you have an agenda underneath that? Oh.
You have two, you have one under your computer, so.
Oh, yeah. There you go, sir.
Thank you.
Yes.
I stole your agenda.
That's all right.
But you have a
What to
penny.
do with that pen?
Yeah, so look at
Okay,
the.
You'll get the idea.
You'll get the
You'll
start.
get
You'll
the
get the
idea.
start.
You'll get the
And
idea.
think about what that means in your life. No, with the year.
And we have extra pennies, Rick, if you decide something. I'll start, just to give Rick the idea. So I have 1998, which actually happens to be the year that I moved to Maine with my husband, and my kids were 4 and 6, and we moved to Appleton. And that was an amazing year. Oh, from Michigan. Yep, I lived 10 years in Ann Arbor, Michigan. And because my ex-husband was involved in the auto industry there. And then we moved here because we had a chance to.
Ann Arbor to Appleton.
Yes.
That's quite the journey.
Will everyone also say their names since I'm still getting used to everyone?
Yeah, I'm Elfie Owen. And what's your name?
Bina Square.
Bina, you're
All-
Bina.
all
I'm
last
sorry.
week.
No, it's okay.
I've been on Zooms, but you haven't seen me in real life.
Okay.
I'm very pregnant.
Oh, yeah, so I'm Elfie, and that's what.
Sure. So I'm Audra. I have 1993, so I was 10 years old. I would have been in Mrs. Bro's 5th grade class at Morse Memorial Elementary School in Brooks, Maine. And that was my first and last experience with musical theater. A 5th grade musical every year, so that was 93.
That's too bad.
Well, my first penny was too old for me, but I picked the shiniest one in 2022. So I guess last year, yeah, my husband and I went on a much delayed honeymoon to Scotland. That was supposed to be before the pandemic and got delayed long enough that we had to bring our infant and my parents to our honeymoon. But they gave us some lovely time while we were there, and we got a lot of hiking and biking in, which is what we intended to, both like city path biking and out in the Highlands, and got to kind of explore some places from our heritage, which was really fun.
I'm Bina Scortis. I met a few of you on Zoom calls and was at the last monthly speaker series, but I'm happy to be here. My penny is 2016, and that was the year my husband and I, we weren't married yet, but we bought our first house. It's very exciting. I'm from Salt Lake City, Utah. That's where we bought our house. Moved here in 2012. 2016 was a great year.
Good. I'm Forrest, and I have bifocal contacts, so, and I could not read this, so Bina helped me out. She tells me it's 1987.
Ironically, his penny's not older than him.
Yeah, right. 1987 was an interesting year. I would say it was a bit of a transition year in life. I was 19 and I started college at the University of Southern Maine, and yeah, I kind of was trying to figure out what to do, and then eventually at the end of that year, I took some time off and went to Colorado, and when I came back, I knew what I wanted to do. So it all worked out.
Cool. So Bina also helped me because this is 1969, which is an awesome year. 1969, I was just a few months old and I was already walking on the moon and at Woodstock at the same time. So yeah, I was just creating massive amounts of trouble for my 2 older brothers. We got punished a lot and it lasted a long time. But yeah, no, I was just a year old. It was cool. It was cool.
Yeah, check my photo library here, because I have no idea what happened in 2019. And I was trying to capture that, like,
The year before the pandemic.
that's really what this is it's like the last year that you didn't really think about things as being different than in the previous year.
Oh, what was the last event you went to where you could like socialize?
Yeah.
Well, that was in
Concert or wedding.
2020, very early in 2020. Maybe I'll just go with that, because that's more interesting. I went to Park City with my family, and we went and visited friends who lived there the week after the Sundance Film Festival, which was later recognized as one of those places and spots, you know. So
Super spreader.
anyway, I have no, and to remember feeling sick when we came back. Imagine that, huh? So no, I have no idea what we did in 2019. I'm sure it was quite fun and lovely, you know, enjoying the town and this sort of thing. But
For 2019, it doesn't get any love, because I changed, I got it too. And
is
I
that what you were doing? I heard 1993. I was like, probably shouldn't tell these stories. Yeah.
It's when him and
Couple.
Forrest were,
And they're crying.
hanging out in southern Maine.
No comment.
My name is Ellen Reynolds. I think mine says 2004. My eyesight's fine, it's just really dirty right now. In 2004, I had taken a year off of college because I was a little bit lost as an English education at the time, and I took a year off and I did AmeriCorps the majority of that year. So I was in their NCCC program, stationed out of Washington, DC, and traveling the East Coast, primarily as a firefighter with National Forest Service. And I did a lot of projects with the Nature Conservancy, which is what really sort of shifted me towards more eco-focused life.
Very cool. 2 years early, 2002, and and that's 21 years ago, and all I can really think about is 2002. That would have been my 40th anniversary of graduating from high school in 1962. I grew up in West Haven, Connecticut, and went to high school there. It was a large suburban high school, very close to Yale University. We had quite a few high school grads who went to Yale and other schools. And not much significant for 2002 for me.
Did you go to your reunion?
Now, I went to my 35th,
Yep.
5 years before that, and that's been 40.
Yep.
Yeah. And it obviously had a 60th reunion recently, but I don't think there's too many people alive.
My name is Tyler Smith. I have 1984. I was 3 years old. And was probably starting to start up Children's House Montessori on Pearl Street. So, yeah. So, and apparently I didn't look it up, but apparently that's when Super Mario Brothers was originally released too. So that was the highlight of the year for the news.
I'm Seth Taylor. I drew 2003, and that was our last year in the Seattle area. We've been living out there for about 9 years, and in 2003, we revisited my home here and really kind of focused our minds on just taking every pay cut we could justify and moving back to the way life should be. But we had to do a stopover in the Boston area for about 6 years to get 2 jobs in Maine to move back with. So eventually we did, but that was a year of like, wow, we are totally changing our lives because we were pregnant in 2003, and it was just, is our future on the West Coast, or is it somewhere around where there's quality of life and we still have value and increased maybe value? And that was a very momentous year.
I picked 1996, so I was 17 turning 18 that year. So junior, senior high school in Concord, Massachusetts, where I grew up. Yeah, not much going on, like lacrosse and field hockey and student government. Yeah, maybe SATs. SATs, trying to figure out college stuff. But good times.
No club, no drinking.
No.
No.
Actually, I played sports, so I was pretty good. That's pretty good. Not true.
I'm Susan Todd, and I have 97, which is years later. And 97, I was living in Connecticut, and I had 3 kids at home. I was teaching a river study program in Fairfield County, and also doing outdoor education, teaching Native American life and farming.
Wow.
Yeah.
So this is a reboot.
Yes.
My name is Deb Chapman. In 1988, I'm not going to say how old I was.
I didn't either.
And 2 things happened, actually, both of them momentous for me. One was the first time I'd ever really traveled outside the United States. I went to Bali, and it was lovely. The most exciting thing was trying to find Garuda Airlines in LAX. And it's the first time I'd ever seen it. Their counter was on the lower level, And they kept changing signs. It was Garuda, and then it was another small airline, and then another small airline. But it was actually a very nice airline. The other thing, that summer, was the first summer that I spent at an abandoned granite quarry in St. George, Maine, and began what eventually was a 18-year project, reclaiming it and turning it into a nature reserve. And along the way, learning to run bucket loaders, 3 different sizes of excavators, with a backhoe. I can't even remember the number of pieces of equipment that my mother never thought I'd ever see the inside of. And the excavator was probably the most fun I've ever had.
What a fun idea.
I love this.
Yeah.
I'm gonna use that. Very nice. And they switch to quarters.
Figure.
All right. Before we do it, we need to, as far as a few minutes to introduce Bina and and tell us a little bit what's gonna happen in the coming days. Or weeks.
Oh, sure. Well, I can let Bina, she started to introduce herself, maybe I'll pass it to you. You can, yeah, Bina works for FB Environmental. Some of you saw her do the speaker series.
Yeah, I most recently was working for the town of Brunswick as their environmental planner. Before that, I was working for a different consulting firm doing watershed management planning and a lot of community engagement. Worked on a lot of dam projects actually out west in Utah and some similar projects in the Vancouver, BC area. But yeah, I'm excited to be part of the FB team. I am having a baby in 2 weeks, so I'm here and then you won't see me, and then I'll be back. But yeah, I'll be back and excited to be on this project later this summer. But just wanted to squeeze one meeting in while I could. Excited to be here. Thank you.
We're excited to have you.
You will send pictures, right?
You're okay with some babies.
We're always.
I already have one kid. She's almost 2, so we'll see how that goes.
All right, so I'm gonna, should we do the minutes first or the parking lot?
Hello, Vince.
Minutes. Have you guys taken a look at the minutes?
Yes.
Any comments? 1, 2, 3.
Oh, yeah.
We want to talk about the minutes that we're proposing to shorten them.
Okay.
It's a lot of work. We're not sure it's super useful to have that level of details. So SB is proposing that we shorten them because we spent the best use of their time, basically. And if we keep to main key items that were discussed, agreements, action points, so that everybody can refer to that.
And you still have the video record.
Yeah, exactly.
Video record, so.
If we didn't have a video, I think
Yeah.
this would be great, but we have the video backup.
So I think I need, number one, a vote on the motion to approve the minutes.
He made the motion, I seconded.
Perfect. All in favor? All right, approve, and then do you want a motion to shortening the minutes as well?
I don't know if we need a motion.
We need a motion, so shortening the minutes.
So it'd be like action items at top and then like summary of discussion. So that the action items are all there.
That's the main point, exactly.
Going forward,
Going forward, yeah.
so not we'll just retroactive,
No.
edit these.
No.
Yeah. Let's do that.
Okay, so we have a motion. You guys want to vote on this or just agree? Is everybody in agreement?
Yep.
Okay. Perfect. Okay, then I'm going to do parking lot. So one of the things I've noticed is that we all come up with some ideas or things we want to work on. And I want to create a parking lot where we're going to write those things. And we're going to keep each other posted when we have an update. So these are not action items that will be reflected in the agenda necessarily, but I'll give you a couple of examples. One of the things I volunteered to look into is the possibility to have a movie night at the Opera House. So I'm currently in discussions with the people I need to talk with, and when there's an update, I will give it to you, but I'm going to put it on the parking lot because it's a good reminder also for me to actually do the thing I've committed to. Another one is your conversation we had last time about private property and how it all works out or not, referring particularly to the pathways.
Mhm.
So that's something that I would love to put on the parking lot as well. And then when you have an update, you can tell either if you're the chair or me, say, hey guys, I need 5 minutes to give an update on my parking lot item. So this way, it just helps us manage the number of things we're tracking and making sure that when we have good ideas, we actually follow up on them. And so the way the parking lot works is that everybody can put something on the parking lot. If you put something on the parking lot, put your name next to it, so we know it's you. And you can follow up, we can follow up with you and discuss it. So we'll have it every time, and we'll just continue adding it. And when there's an update, we'll give it.
Your movie night for like a band movie?
Yeah, for like a couple of movies,
Gotcha.
maybe a panelist, so it's still working process.
Can I make a suggestion?
Sure.
Maybe you were thinking about this, as far as this goes in the parking lot, I'm not sure, I'm gonna remember this from month to month.
No, we're gonna bring it back.
We'll keep
But
bringing it
let's
back.
try to bring
Or
it back
it'll
also,
on the
I think
agenda.
it'd be a good idea to just distribute the subject areas to everybody so that you can think about it in the month in between meetings.
We should have a digital parking lot, like you can
Yeah.
add
We
to
can
it
add
on
it
the
to
Google
the
Drive.
Google Drive.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
But the idea is like, these are issues that haven't raised like the super priority,
Mhm.
but we're interested in working on, somebody volunteers to do it. And at any point of time, also we can say, hey, I don't have time for this.
Mhm.
Okay,
Good.
all right. Audra.
Yes.
Give us a.
Sure. So on this past Thursday, myself and Allison McKellar had a meeting with the project team from the National Fish and Wildlife Foundation about the grant. And it was really to just, finalize, some elements of the scope of the grant, so we could get the actual grant agreement finalized. And also they wanted to talk to us about several letters that they've been receiving from Camden residents saying that there was inaccurate or misleading information in the grant application. So, they wanted to kind of go through that with us and have just a better understanding of what the community engagement plan was for the grant. So we talked a lot about this committee and, some of the work that you were planning to do, and also some of the work that Forrest and Maggie and Bean have scoped out for us. So that was, really helpful for that discussion. But they were most interested in figuring out how they could help us manage this, because, they're very aware of course, the past feasibility study and the findings from that, as well as, keeping an eye on what's going on here in town. So what they're going to do, or what they have done to help us, was sort of compile some of the I guess some of the questions that were coming out of the letters that they were receiving, some of the claims that were made, and giving it to us so that we could come up, incorporate it in more of like a frequently asked question format. So I've passed that on to Forrest. I've still got it. Yeah, absolutely. And this can all be put in the Google Drive document as well, but I think it'll be really helpful for, just having a better understanding of what some of those narratives are that are out there that, we need to do a little bit more work on. Adding some clarity around.
include just the things that you discussed with us?
Yes, so this is directly from the NIFWIF project officer.
So it's related to the correspondence they got?
Yes.
Yep, we
absolutely.
synthesized the questions that they received from the correspondence. Yep. I wanna, if you would allow me, Audra, I wanna share with you that all the correspondence that Megunticook has received has been anonymous.
And some of it's accidentally bounced back to me,
To us.
actually, because they sent it anonymously to NIFWIF. They sent it to like a address or a person that's no longer there, and they sent it with the return address of being the town's PO box. So I actually have one of those letters, so that'll be something else we can put in the Google Drive so everyone can see it. So you have the synthesized version, and then you'll have an actual letter that was prepared, and it's all the same. It's a group of people kind of, I think, collaborating on what they send to NIFWIF. So I think it's just helpful to have this because I think it'll make the FAQ better. Because, you know, we're able to kind of look at that and get some accurate information out there. So they also offered one of their project officers to come as a speaker. So I thought that that would be great for this group as part of the speaker series to have somebody from, or one of the grant administrators from NIFWIF to answer questions. And one of the things that they were really happy to do was talk about, you know, what their program is, what they're trying to achieve and why, because, you know, we have gotten a lot of questions about, well, why have you applied for a grant that's addressing dam removal? That's a very frequent one. Why aren't you looking at dam restoration or dam preservation? And so they can answer questions as to why that's not the kind of project they fund. And some of those other more frequent ones that are asked about their program and why, you know, why is it targeted at certain, you know, certain types of projects. So I thought that was a really, you know, it's really positive for our relationship with NIFWIP because it's, you know, reciprocal in the type of support that they're giving their grantees.
One question, you said all of the letters are anonymous or?
We
I
have
thought
one.
it was.
Yeah, I could send one around if you like.
That's okay.
But they identify themselves as Camden.
They say they're Camden
Camden
residents,
residents.
yeah, but then when, you know, it comes to a signature. And this is, I mean, this is pretty typical with what we're seeing.
Okay.
So anyway, so yeah, that's the NIFWIF update. I'm not sure how many people are aware, the Save the Dam Falls Committee is, raised $11,000 and is donating it to the town for maintenance of the Montgomery Dam. So we're waiting for a formal letter from that group so that the select board can go through the process of formally accepting it. And what was the last update that I had about, climate change resiliency. So the town's got a bunch of different projects that we've been working on that are focused on climate change resiliency and a bunch of different work that's been done, but it's kind of, you know, different parts of things that haven't been synthesized into a broader climate resilience strategy. And so our planning and development director, Jeremy Martin, met with Forrest, a resident named Jim Bennett, who's got a lot of good background and experience with this. Sophie attended that meeting as well, and I think that's a really good plan for trying to come up with a more comprehensive climate change resilience plan for the town, or strategy for the town that will be really helpful for a lot of the different, you know, grant programs that we're interested in pursuing, and, you know, just having a document where we can incorporate all the different projects and programs that we've been participating in or interested in accessing in the future.
I think, you know, the December 23rd storm really kind of catalyzed this issue for the residents, saying that we really can no longer ignore climate resilience and how is the town preparing for that, doubled with the massive monsoon rain we had when a couple of weeks ago where I called Audra, and we have at the yacht club there was a sewage that was literally going into the yacht club building. So we quickly acted upon that. But I think all those events are making it even more pressing and urgent for the town to start thinking about how can we prep, how can we increase the resiliency, what are the grants out there, what is the support we can receive from state, federal, all kinds of organizations. And I think it's great. And it's also part of something we should keep in mind here because that's what we're doing. Part of this process. Yeah, Debbie, and then.
Audrey, if this isn't a fair question, then don't try to answer. But I'm curious, what kinds of projects? You said different groups have been doing different things. Just some idea of what people were working on that's going to be in that document.
So, yeah, of course, there's this effort. Also, you know, the public landing redevelopment project, that'll be an important climate change resiliency project. And I should say it's actually broader than the public landing. It's really looking at resiliency of the entire harbor and the infrastructure in the harbor and how the public property, you know, relates to the private property around it. So that's a big effort to, you know, sort of figure out, what are we gonna do with the harbor into the future? Because a lot of work has been done already on like the public landing master plan, and then there was the Penobscot Bay Resiliency Project where 10 communities around Penobscot Bay it wasn't really funding, it was an engineering company came and assessed their public infrastructure and, gave recommendations on what would need to be done in the future and estimated a price for doing that. So, it's kind of like we've got 2 high-level documents and we now need to get down to more of like the engineering design with the actual public landing itself. And
So is the focus really on sea rise more than?
yeah,
other
it's
parts of-
sea level rise, it's storm surge, it's that kind of
And some
resiliency.
waves, because we're more vulnerable to waves and surge than to sea level rise.
But increased rainfall,
Yeah.
frequency and.
Absolutely,
All of this,
Yeah, flooding of
So that would be
freshwater
something,
streams.
Yeah, I think the
Absolutely.
stormwater system would be part of that discussion.
Yeah, and
But
that's
we haven't-
another
we have-
thing,
yeah,
is
yeah.
stormwater is a huge, I mean, it's huge everywhere, but it's, in Camden where we have mountains meeting the sea in a very small area for like our watershed to drain. It's a really important issue for us. So we've been doing, mapping our stormwater infrastructure, and we're gonna continue to do that and come up with a strategy for green infrastructure, across town. So our public works director, he actually just went to a really good workshop that I think it was DEP put it on for public works, specifically for public works professionals, in how to integrate more green infrastructure techniques or projects into a municipal stormwater system. And also model, he made the point, we'd really be well served by sort of a model ordinance that would help us do this, because it isn't just managing stormwater on public property and among, public infrastructure. It's also, what is the private property, how does that interact with our stormwater system? So that's a huge part of climate change resiliency and work that we've been doing that would be good to capture into a more broader plan for climate change resiliency. So those are really the big 3, but there's a lot of other, smaller things that have been done, lots of different sort of culvert replacement and stream crossing projects that aren't necessarily in the Megunticook watershed. They're in sort of the watersheds that sit beside the river. So a lot of work to be done in that space, and it all kind of intersects and intertwines with this effort as well.
I think what's interesting, thank you for the update. What's really interesting is that I've worked a lot on climate change in my professional capacity, and I have seen the change from the discussion where people were doubting that climate change exists, and the conversation has shifted to, okay, how do we prepare? So we're really into the how moment, and I'm super excited about this because we can avoid having a conversation about whether it exists or not. So all those projects and the fact that we have those conversations, we see a lot of interest with people always asking us about, what is the town doing? I see it on different groups and it's always coming up. So I think it's really, for me, it's a really good moment because we can finally tackle the how, which is going to be critical. And so,
I think one thing that gets lost sometimes is mitigation.
Yeah.
We've skipped from does it exist, is it a problem, to yes, it's a problem, let's do something about it. But mitigation piece, I'm wondering if that's going to be included in any of these plans, like how Camden can help with mitigation as well, like our energy efficiency or.
I think it's going to be both adaptation and mitigation.
Well, I'd like to remind you, we haven't finished the, remember when we all went to the Snow Bowl and voted on, the sort of conversion of our buildings to, more renewable source, like the Snow Bowl's all geothermal heat now, and that big effort is not quite finished yet. So we're still working with Siemens on that, and there are big conversations we need to have about the Snow Bowl in particular, in terms of the environmental out there, and what do we want to invest in? Do we want to invest in more snowmaking over the future, because we're looking at sort of a $1 million investment in grooming and also actually being able to continue making snow, given that our season's getting shorter and shorter. And so I think as a community, we need to wrestle with, is that $1 million investment something that we're gonna commit to? Because some of it does need to be, we do have grants, but most of it is going to have to be raised by taxpayers, because it's not realistic to expect the Snow Bowl to be able to raise those funds from its operations. So, if we do that, we've got to expect that the season for skiing is gonna get smaller and smaller, and the cost of doing that is gonna get greater and greater. So that's something we've got to wrestle with. So do we do that, or do we pivot to more of the other 3-season recreational opportunities? So I do think that that's a really important point, Courtney, that you brought up, and there's some big conversations that need to happen.
All right, I'm gonna stop it there because.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Susan has.
I had one thought for a speaker.
Yes.
There's a man by the name of Robert Nichols who does the sewer or the stormwater systems. He writes programs for it. He lives in Camden. And I was thinking, watching to see where the water flows into the river, whether it's from stormwater or whether it's from rain. And, where is everything dumping in, and talking about controlling the dams as well. How do those two things fit together? Because I think that's a major.
I have to interject. It's a fascinating FBA environmental study from 2007. It also is a great mapping of all the waterways going into the Megunticook.
Right, well, there's also the storm,
The
the
storm
sewer
drain mapping,
system
yeah.
is
Yeah,
mapped
yeah.
in Camden and shows where, and most of it goes either on Main Street or on Washington Street. But those, how does that affect the river? Where are those storm drains going? And I think that would be an interesting,
So Robert Nichols is a volunteer or citizen?
I would, well,
He's my next door neighbor.
Okay.
but I know he wrote an
Which is the
article
greatest
for,
island in Canada.
he wrote an article
Next
for
door.
Maine Coast TV, talking about the 250 billion. Yeah,
He's also a former select board member from Rock.
From Rockport.
But I think he would be an interesting person to ask, where is this water coming? How is it affecting the river?
Right.
Cool.
Yeah.
Tyler, yes.
I'm just trying to get a quick clarification on the dam maintenance money that's coming in. So that potential public donation would be added to an existing budget amount for maintenance for that, or it's gonna be the sole amount, or the board still needs to accept it
They still need to
and
accept it.
decide how they're gonna, whether they're gonna accept it or.
Yeah, and part of, I would hope that when the group kind of writes a letter saying, this is the donation, will you please accept it?
Yeah.
They would sort of specify what their expectations are and how it's going to be used.
Okay.
Because then the board will have an idea of whether or not.
And do you remember if there was budgeted amounts? I don't remember this year's budget, whether there was dam maintenance budgeted in there.
There's a little bit, but it's for
It's-
other,
Yeah.
Not specifically for Montgomery Dam restoration.
no,
Okay.
no. And I guess just to remind everyone, the reason we're all sitting here right now is because back in 2017, the town had budgeted, I think it was $75,000 towards repairing the crest of the spillway.
Yep.
And then when we got quotes back, it was well over that. And so
Okay.
that's when the select board started asking questions about why are we doing this and should we look at other things? So, I mean, if you're going by like 2017 numbers, it was close to $90,000. So to do a project of that sort with a construction market how it is now, we could expect that it would be far more expensive than that. So yeah, I think $11,000, something like that. Vegetation management would be a realistic thing to spend that money on, but probably nothing in terms of like, masonry repair or mechanical functions of the gate or anything like that.
Okay, thanks.
Can I belabor that point for just one question? Have you sent a letter to the Safety Dam Falls Committee, asking them to or contact them, asking them to send a letter?
No, I'm not sure how that was all going to work. So,
Okay, all right, we'll talk about it. So.
sounds good.
So we're gonna get into new business. and in particular on the public communication and outreach. And I'm gonna preface this conversation with the fact that we've been thinking about, the whole point of the committee is to educate our fellow Camden citizens who can vote. And give us, an idea of what they want us to do with it. So, Audra and I had a conversation about looking into the best time where we could have that proposal being put in front of the voters, and we think that the November 2024 general election is the date we're looking at, for a couple of reasons. The first one, it's a presidential election year, and traditionally we have a higher turnout. So a higher turnout on presidential election years would really give us a good idea of what the town of Camden wants to do. It gives us about 16 months of runway, because we need to have the warrant articles ready probably by the end of July, early August. The state of Maine has changed the requirements. The warrants have to be adapted for people with different disabilities. So it's very hard for us to meet those deadlines because they have to be decided way ahead of the votes. So we're going to probably move forward and propose that we put something in front of the voters on November, I think it's going to be November 4th. I haven't looked at my calendar, 2024. So now the committee has a deadline.
And I don't know, did you say that it corresponds with the NICWIT grant?
It also works very well with the NICWIT grant period, and we're going to be working hand in hand, on those two projects together, because what we do, the public outreach and communication, is part of the NICWIT grant. So those two things work well together.
And you see in your mind, one vote for a ultimate proposal for some sort of watershed as opposed to broken up into separate aspects?
So I really don't know.
Okay.
And I think it's something we need to think about, how to formulate this. I don't wanna preclude anything at this stage.
That's fine.
Let's keep an open mind
Yeah.
and see what's the best way. Those warrants, articles, they can be very confusing and very hard to understand. So my concern is really to write up something that everybody can understand, even people who have never watched us or, have limited information. I think for me, clarity is really the key. So that would be my guidance.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah, I just sort of was not quite understanding exactly what you're thinking about, when the women just warrant article in November 2024. What exactly you think is going to go into this warrant article in 2024?
Well, so some of the things that need to be changed in the river require a vote from the town.
Right, yeah.
So, and we'll give you more clarity about what needs to be put in front of voters.
Mhm.
But I think right now it's I just want to put in, 16 months. So 16 months to prepare communication, to look at questions, to come up with answers, to educate our fellow citizens so that they can make that decision. And little by little, I think the way we're going to phrase the warrant will become clearer. I know it's big nebulous right now.
Yeah. Okay.
I think, to me, the urgent thing is deadline. Yes.
Before we get into specifics about communication and outreach, I'm going to sound like an old drumbeat, but I'll say it again, that I'm hoping, having heard you say our job is to educate the public. A large part of that is knowing what their questions are, because receptivity to what they're going to hear is critical, and we all know that.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping some of the initial events will be ways of engaging with them and finding out from them what their questions and issues are.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Spot on as usual then.
All right, your next activity.
So I'm excited about this, actually. I'm really excited about this idea of putting something in front of the voters and knowing, how we're going to proceed. So I know it can be anxiety prone. I've written my first warrant article when we changed the charter, and trust me, I spent, I think, 17 hours crafting every word with the help of Bill Kelly and of Deb Dodge, who really, why did she move away from Camden?
Oh, did she really?
Yeah, they moved 2 years ago, which, it's not.
I always see her walking in this.
Yes, and she's
Sorry.
they're in Virginia, and she's still sometimes I ping her, I'm like, Dad, the charter says that, but you, so I still use her immense knowledge about charter and town processes and voters processes, so, but anyway, turning it over to Maggie.
Yes.
All right, Maggie, it's 4:45. Oh, I think we have plenty of time.
Great. Yeah, so we thought, we presented a draft outreach plan in December. And as you recall, we got kind of cut short with the meeting. And we felt like we really needed to revisit it. And given this new information from Sophie about our timeline, we thought it was helpful to kind of take off our timeline suggestions and to give everyone kind of a blank outreach plan. And so as you recall, the outreach events proposed here were our ideas. We outlined with an understanding of what the budget was going to be for the outreach component of the NIFLIT grant. That being said, we hope the committee will be highly engaged in these outreach events, and there is flexibility in how, who does what and what happens. But in general, I want to keep with like the overall scope, I guess. Scope in terms of like level of effort. I also want to remind you that we are here to support you with all of this and all of these efforts. And so what we're really hoping for from this group is guidance on what we're doing, where we're going to hold the meeting, what is the purpose of that meeting going to be, and how we're going to do the outreach, and then we can support the nuts and bolts of getting that done. So we're here for you. Don't feel like that you all have to do all of this. That being said, as we work through kind of the outreach ideas, this is going to be kind of a brainstorm session here. Our next discussion is going to be about furthering our understanding of what the subcommittees are going to be, so that we can start making things happen in between meetings. I know I'm personally really grateful to the newsletter group because that has worked really well.
Mutual.
And I think you guys put together a really beautiful product, and it's getting out there, and there's a lot of work going on behind the scenes. So we're hoping we can kind of apply that format now to the other components of the outreach plan. And we would love for everyone to be involved and take on, some responsibility in moving this forward. So as we're thinking through outreach, maybe considering what you're excited about.
Yeah. So I'm sorry, I'm going to do a typical Sophie, let's do this thing the other way around. Maggie, I think maybe if we can take the subcommittee assignments and write back into the plan who's doing what and use that to populate the plan, it might be more practical to merge those two sessions together.
Like merge these two discussions.
Exactly, because I think that they feed so much into each other.
Yeah,
It might make more sense. For instance, we have the newsletter and press release. We know who's on the newsletter subcommittee and and we can populate the plan like this with different newsletters, times, date, press releases. We have the who, we can fill that up. The one guideline we're hoping and thinking about is that because we have 3 subcommittees, we're hoping, and we have 9 committee members. Times 3. And we're happy to have people double up in different committees, but at a minimum, we're hoping that everybody can be part of one committee. So maybe we can, I'm sorry to completely jazz up the plan.
No, jazz is great.
I love jazz.
But
We'll just put you down for ownership of any chaos.
I am the queen of chaos.
I can be the scribe for the committees too online.
Cool.
Second.
So does that work better that we merge those two conversations together? Because I think they kind of, they're so close.
Yeah.
It'll be more productive, and we can do that until 5:20, so we have
Yeah.
So
a lot of time to go over.
to outline like the kind of thing that we talked about internally before this meeting, and this tees in really well to Deb's point, is like really thinking about the flow of these events. So, what we have in here, which is slightly changed from our last version, is, we could have 2 community forums 4 neighborhood socials as part of the, budget that the NIFIP is going to allow. So we were thinking, is that first community forum an opportunity to learn what the community wants to know and, what they want to hear from us? And that, then maybe those neighborhood socials are those more specific, like now we know what the community wants and we go have, more focused discussions around like each of these dams, have a conversation and also provides some information. We also have, parallel education activities like the speaker series, the movie night idea. There's a lot of different ways to get the word out. So just, I guess I would say, think about the flow of all the events instead of like, we do need to get into the details, but the hope is that subcommittees can really get into the details and this group can stay a little higher level and think about the overall objective of the next 16 months. And one thing I think Forrest brought up that was really important that we've talked a lot about is like consistency and stability in the public hearing from the group. So we don't want to, like, in our opinion, we don't want to have a few months where we have a ton of outreach going out and then have like 4 months of dead time. We want the community to keep hearing and keep having opportunities to participate.
Good, so, this will be an action-oriented committee and we think that you guys like that. And so far, it's been very action-oriented. So this is taking it another step to more action. So on your agenda, the subcommittees are listed. This is just our suggestion. So we can take some time to see if this makes sense. I know we're kind of springing this on you a little bit. But I'm just going to tell you our thinking, and Maggie, feel free to chime in, or wherever. So the thought was written communications, events committee, technical education committee. The written communications is, potentially Courtney, Ellen and Alfie, adding a little bit more to their already busy plates and taking on a little more. So we thought intuitively that those 3 topics, the newsletter press release, website approval, and public opinion survey, if and when that is done, which I think is certainly an intention at some point, would fall to your group. So I guess I'll just pause there.
Question about that.
Yeah.
I don't see in any of these 3 areas, and I would have expected it in written communication, answering questions that come across the threshold.
We have it.
It's a number, it's the very last one, number 2 under technical education committee,
Public Q&A.
public Q&A review.
Okay, but does that mean, sometimes making people wait for answers for months and I interpreted that probably wrongly now as a single event or maybe a period.
Right, no, that is responding as
So it is
quickly as
ongoing.
possible to the public questions, which we know is a very important function of this committee.
And we did talk last time about FBE taking the first stab at those answers, and then it would be basically like we would take the first stab, and then those answers would go to that committee, and they would be the ones to review. Another topic that we wanted to discuss as we talk about subcommittees is kind of the process of approval. Our recommendation would be to give a lot of authority to each subcommittee, so they basically like get everything to the final point and then, present it to the full group for any like major red flags in the decision that they've made, like we made this decision, do you have any red flags? There's a set period of time, 24, 48 hours, you have to like flag any concerns for that option. And of course, like big things can come back to the meeting. But we're just trying to think of ways to like give you the ability to.
Yeah, for example, the newsletter, that I was gonna send it out today, but then I was like, oh, I guess the whole committee hasn't seen it yet. So the newsletter committee wrote a great newsletter. We now need to send it to the whole committee. You guys have 24 hours to flag anything. And then once you're okay with it, if you don't say anything, we assume that means you're okay. And then we send it out to the almost 200 people that have signed up to read the newsletter.
This is a proposal for your like
Yeah.
feedback and.
It is to be agile, and so, don't add, not adding bureaucracy. You trust each other, 3 people in the committee, you make the decisions. red flags for the rest of the group, and we can move, because there's a lot of things to be doing.
Does anyone have an objective to that method that Maggie and
Or-
Sophie just outlined?
Or a counter proposal.
Or a counter proposal?
My only thought is if there's only 3 people doing the Q and A, that would need to be at least a diverse group of people that are answering those questions, just so that nothing gets too one-sided and the way it's responded to.
We had discussed, everybody being involved with that. So, you know, if a question comes along, like maybe a group would be in charge of making sure that was answered, et cetera, and overseeing that, but that everybody could potentially answer the question, and, you know, raise their hand and all the way.
Yeah,
I think that would be.
One thing that, well, I sent out is the Google Drive, and one thing that will be a living, breathing document within the Google Drive is all of the Q and A. And so we have taken a first stab at answering all the questions we've received so far. We're gonna upload that document. It'd be great if the Q and A subcommittee could also review it with a more keen eye, and then obviously everyone can review it and have comments, questions, whatever, but, because I think that's a really great point, that we all have the say, or you all have the say. That was answered.
I think, you know, as part of that part on number 2, technical education, is that I think we're getting a pretty good feel as to who's got some expertise or real interest in certain areas of this. And obviously, any answer that's going to go out on a public one, it's like, hey, you know, Tyler here has got some good information about that. What do you think about this answer? I think that should just be a process.
Yeah. And also, I mean, we can also keep in mind that the 3 people per committee, per subcommittee are kind of the core group, but if there's a particular event, one of you wants to collaborate and it's a volunteer group, you know. You also have to do what you like doing, right? The purpose is not for you to do things you're not excited about, but that's where we all do our best work, is when we do things we're excited about, so keep in mind that this is not, it's just giving us a little bit more structure and giving everybody something to do, because I know you all want to roll up your sleeves, you keep telling me that. So that's the process we're thinking about, except we.
And you know, we're curious to sort of the time frame of getting your comments. So let's say the newsletter group puts out a newsletter. I mean, is 2 days enough time for everyone here to be able to look at your email and respond? Because our experience is, you know, keep it a short deadline and people will pay attention. Okay, everyone agrees. Good. Good, okay. So it sounds like the process, there's consensus on that with run it by the full committee. So then back to the written communications, Courtney, Ellen, and Alfie, I guess, does it make sense for you guys to take on the other pieces, the website and the public opinion survey? I mean,
Yeah, the public opinion survey is a pretty big job.
Yeah.
To me, I mean, developing a survey is not a piece of cake.
not a piece of
So I
cake.
think that like that would be an example where we would like have initial consultation on what the goals and objectives were, and then like FE would do the work to develop an example or like a couple different menu approach examples, and then meet with the committee, the subcommittee, to like workshop it.
But what,
I think
one of the
it's
things that
more-
might feed into that is what we learn about people's interests and concerns, rather than doing that right away. Take some of what we're gonna learn and feed it into that particular item.
But I think when you think about the public opinion survey, so there's so many pieces to that puzzle. Like, when is gonna be the best time? How are we gonna share the public opinion? How can people answer? What are the media? What about people who don't have internet or do we select a sample? How do we select a sample? So there's a lot of work to be done. And some of it, I think, is critical and should be brought back into the full committee. But like drafting questions and, you know, there's a lot of things that can be, you know, done by a subcommittee with the support of FE. And then for the more critical question, it comes back to the full committee.
Yeah, so build the skeleton and then.
Exactly.
And yeah, like what's the goal? Is the survey intended to gather an understanding of what people understand now, or is the goal to like establish a baseline, or is the goal to understand what people want, or, you know, like.
Very delicate thing.
Yeah.
Including what their reaction is to things that we're thinking, we're gonna present information about and just get there. I mean,
We're gonna have two different, I mean, I don't think we're ready for the public opinion survey quite yet. I think the public opinion is going to inform our recommendations at some point, but I think that's once and once down the road, once people have access to the knowledge and information. But it would be interesting to gather, like you said, what do people kind of know? What do they think they know? What do they want to know? That's maybe what we could look at for our first survey. What are the questions that are out there? And maybe we start with that instead of what's your opinion, because as soon as you say what's your opinion, they'll form one. And you know,
Yeah.
Well, it's-
Yeah, and maybe it's not a public opinion survey.
right.
Just a
don't know
survey.
what it
It's
is.
just a
Yeah.
public survey or
That was
resident survey.
One thing we
Yeah.
had talked about was creating two surveys, one
Right.
now, sort of roll it out
Okay.
early in the process and gather information from the public. What do you guys need to know? What do you want to know for making a certain decision? And then doing one later down the road to sort of gauge, did we capture people's questions? Did we, address what people were looking for? So sort of the front end and back end of the process. But
So a lot of, okay, so the question is, do we need a separate committee for the survey?
Yeah, and I guess maybe I would suggest that,
I mean, at least taking the first stab at it.
yeah, there'll be some things where, your group will say, well, here's our first try, the committee's gonna need to spend extra time on this, and I think this is a great example of that.
But I think it's a good discussion as far as what the objectives of any survey to do are, because it's, I could see having one really early that helps give this whole group guidance on, I mean, in theory, we have a diverse representation of the citizens of Camden, but we may be out of touch with what the citizens of Camden actually want. They either spend money on, whether they, if you come back and 95% of people say, we don't want to do anything in the river at all, we don't care. Maybe we're marking on the wrong tree.
But do they have enough information to have that opinion yet?
I don't know, but I think it's a good question.
Yeah.
I'm understanding.
Right.
Yeah.
Do you have enough information?
Should we ask?
Before you check, 1 second, I think one of the things we should look at is how other river projects have time surveys, and maybe you guys have that information to help us make that decision. Because you don't need to be alone in the dark.
Yeah.
I would say on this outline you have here, just cross off the word opinion, just make it a public survey.
Yeah.
Because you don't want people, as you mentioned, we don't want people's opinion right now,
Yeah.
how they're gonna vote down the line about this. We want to know what they want to know, what they are interested in knowing. Just cross the word opinion off of it.
I think that makes sense, everyone agree?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. That is,
But everybody wants to give their opinion. It's a nice way to, we'll have to think about it. I understand, I do agree with you, but on the other hand, if I receive a survey, say, can you tell us what you know about this? I'm like, oh. God.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no,
yeah,
there's a
yeah.
whole-
So we
Yeah.
need to think about the
Yeah.
marketing aspect and how we
Right.
make sure that a maximum number of people answer this and the content. So I think the semantics there are a little bit different.
right.
the
Sure,
survey
I would ask
development
it, but
goes
they
on
say
this
something
agenda.
that's fair enough.
Yeah, I was gonna just say that.
I think
I agree.
survey development is its own topic.
I think we need to spend,
Yeah.
maybe a half hour on this,
Seriously.
I think
coming maybe next
the
month.
whole, yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I have
These
aspirations
activities-
for the technical education committee. I might want to do a survey. Might be part of another committee.
Exactly.
Yeah, it could be.
All right, we'll leave it off this one for now.
The two
Yeah.
committees kind of better.
So Courtney, Ellen, and Elfie are good?
You're game for
Okay.
this?
Well, one other thing I wanted to
Sure.
just insert here is, I know we've got this up before and everybody is scared to talk about it, but social media. I really do think we need something, because I know a lot of people don't read the newspaper. Like anybody under 30 probably doesn't. I don't know. I'm just putting it out there because I think it's another way to get people engaged, even if it's just like one post once a month. And we don't
But
have a lot
would
of
it be the
comments.
same as you're posting somewhere else? In other words,
So, yeah.
people who don't use social media would miss whatever you're posting unless it's in the newsletter. or
True, we
some
need
other
it
way.
Yes,
across
to be
places,
across
but I
all.
think we're missing a lot of people by not being on social media. So I'm just wondering,
Does the town of Hamden have a,
We have a
Facebook and
We
Instagram?
do.
Facebook.
Yeah, I'm trying to get
too, but do we, it's,
access.
is someone going to be in charge of what our group is doing? And like,
Well, I mean, the river committee can have its own Facebook.
One thing that I would think about, if we go that route is that I don't know, it could engage people, by like having access, but it could also like give people this digital way to engage where they don't come to like
Each
interest
other.
in things and like have face-to-face conversations, which can also be important. So I don't know,
It
you
was
said
more
like,
just announcements,
like no
having-
comments.
Yeah, no comments allowed.
Yeah, yeah.
I think you can have a setting.
You can.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
just,
Yeah.
saying this is what we're doing.
We should just be at least making sure we're posting the newsletter and the website
Yeah.
on the Camden's Facebook. One thing that I have found is when I worked at Brunswick, creating a new account for every committee or everything, you just lose
Yeah.
people. So
Yeah.
if you already have a following with the town of Camden, then I would just work with the town to make sure that it's blasted on Facebook via that way. So I think looping that into the written committee would be great, because then you guys can make sure, okay, the newsletter's finished. Let's blast this on Facebook, and then, make it a little more interactive in a different way, but it's the same information duplicated, so that no one's getting different information, different sources. So, yeah.
So should our group be kind of the liaison for that?
I think so.
So yes, but I'm trying to get access to the Camden Town Facebook page so I can post.
Oh, great. That would be great. And what about the town website? Because I noticed it needs to be updated.
No, so don't go into the town.
What? Don't go into it? Oh.
Parking lot.
There's a new website there, so hold that thought.
Okay.
Agreed, but I also want to caveat something, that sometimes there's the impression that, oh, a lot of people on Facebook are following us, or they think X. And I really want to make sure that we understand that only a very small portion of people in Canada use Facebook and social media. So it's just a data point, and that's just what it is. It's not the whole universe. So we have to make really great efforts to make sure that people who don't use internet, social media are also reached. So it's just one tool in our toolbox.
Let me, so let's go back to the committees.
Wait,
All right, so we have one committee, well nailed down, and we added something to that. So I'm just gonna quickly go through these next two committees, since we don't have people assigned. Just to tell you what our thoughts were. So the events committee is just that, events. Neighborhood socials, one thought that came up around this is maybe a neighborhood social around each of the four, lower dams as a possibility. For example, and we've worked on neighborhood socials for other projects, for other communities. And they've been very successful, partly because they're a little bit more informal in nature, and and there's usually good refreshments, so.
Ice cream.
Ice cream,
ice cream.
yeah, I went
Would
to
it
one
make
that,
sense to have one of those just with people who own land on the river? And the lake, in
Possibly.
other words, not just the dam issue, but the rest of it.
yeah, absolutely. I think the sky's the limit for where we want to go with that, and a lot more discussion needs to happen.
So you don't mean like meetups in the classic Howard Dean sense, but rather you want these targeted around specific neighborhoods that are adjacent to the river.
Potentially.
Potentially,
I
right?
mean, because we have to find a way to engage them in this conversation,
Those people.
in particular, the neighborhood.
Okay.
Yeah,
Those ones.
yeah.
Mhm.
They're the ones who have the first impact
Yeah.
of any changes that are made, and
Right.
are likely to have very strong opinions, which
Yeah.
is good.
Mhm.
So I think there are other people who aren't close to the river or the lake, and may not use it, but they're still citizens.
Yeah.
And I don't know how we get to them, maybe it's not through the neighborhood.
And that's a slight tweak to what you just said is really what I'm getting at. And then originally when you talked about these socials, I was thinking, so we have to find people in every neighborhood. So like the Pearl Street people would have one. Belmont,
Right.
would have one, and what have you. But you're saying just these ones,
I don't think justice, I think the focus is to make sure that the people who live in the neighborhoods of those dams will be the most affected by them, and we'll make sure they're here, but they're open to everyone.
Yeah.
I'm hoping that the Pearl Street people will show up and say, I'm interested in knowing what's gonna happen, with the Melton Street dam, right? So, but I would say kind of the primary target is the neighborhood, and the secondary target, of course, is everybody in Canada.
The idea is
Does that
really
make
is
sense?
it's an opportunity to dig deeper in one place and to give it more focus.
Yeah.
Whereas like a community forum about the whole watershed is like a broader thing and there's a lot of, not a lot of time.
Are you fucking?
So you just have, all you have to do is make dinner.
I'll bring chips.
So I would call it more of an informational social, because I think if you say neighborhood, you may preclude some people who are, oh, I'm not in that neighborhood, I don't need to go.
Right.
So I think if you say an informational social and it's being held in this area, I think that, yeah.
And I think Susan just voted herself into the subcommittee. Yeah. No, I love it.
Well, I don't
Again,
want to do something on watersheds. I mean,
again, we can design any event we want, and we can label it in the ways that we attract the most people. So I'm not, I mean, this is just for purpose of conversation and more the concept of making sure that people who are living in the neighborhood are friendly. Right, whatever labeling we think is the best to attract people. Perfect.
So in a big picture sense.
Yeah.
Do we like those three committees before we dig into what they're doing? Do we want?
So if we decide what to do with, the survey group,
No.
The survey.
I thought we were gonna carve it out, maybe,
Yeah,
we're just gonna talk.
It's over
more
the
depth
top.
about it.
it's too big, it's too big for.
The survey is out
The
of.
survey is gonna be a committee-wide discussion. I think that's where we want to.
Subcommittee as a whole.
I
The
think
subcommittee
that
as a
might
whole.
be a great topic for our next meeting.
Yes.
On its own, maybe that'll be our activity, is we can come with a template of a survey and
Yeah.
kind of go through what we wanna.
You have those to say?
Well, I
So-
think maybe not a template in next meeting, maybe a like, what's the objective?
Yeah. Perfect.
We need to have like I have ideas.
So for the three committees, though, do we like written communication, events committee, and technical education committee, or do people want to talk about different organization of the three?
There's something missing.
I wonder if the committees can be flexible. In other
Oh,
words,
absolutely.
sometimes maybe you don't want to write an article in the newsletter and someone else will say, oh, I'll do an article. Or I can't do this neighborhood or informational social, but I'll work on this instead. In other words, can we be
Of
more
course.
flexible, the kinds of things that come up each week or each month and all of us sort of volunteer as we,
I'm gonna say yes and no.
I know.
Yeah.
I know.
Could we have, could we have that flexibility, but like, you know, these are the three people that kind of like oversee
Yeah, they-
it and
no, I
make
get
sure
that.
someone is doing
And
it.
make sure that it's
Yeah,
happening.
it gets done.
Exactly.
But there's no
You are
bar
the newsletter.
saying you're
one.
not allowed.
Yeah.
Oh, that's true, that's a good example, you could say like, Tyler, can you write a piece on this? Or-
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Good. So Davina's question, does,
I'm okay with
do
this.
these seem okay?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, we do.
And we can, again, we can change in 6 months from now, we might have a new one to add.
We will have to start somewhere.
Does anyone have questions on what's in the committees? Why don't we go that way?
I just have a question. Am I the only one who doesn't understand why it's called technical education?
I don't.
We couldn't think of a word. We can rename.
Yeah, rename it, go ahead.
I think we better keep this going.
Maybe just education.
I think that's fine. I think that's fine.
I think we struggled with that because we were like, well, they're all kind of somewhat education.
Yeah.
They're all outreach and they're all education, so it's hard to come up.
Yeah.
Right, to separate it.
So is education committee okay?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay,
So, one thing that, we've been discussing a little bit, I think over more email is, and then Deborah was up in that in the last meeting, was, you know, we get these articles from the newspaper and they outline, concerns usually. Would it be possible for the education committee to gather those or be in charge of that as well? Just to like make it like an Excel spreadsheet that says, these are the concerns that have been listed and these are the opinions or whatever. Things we know, things we don't know,
that's great.
things we should know.
Great suggestion.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
So add another, I mean, some of them will be in the Q&A, which is on the Google spreadsheet, Google Drive.
All right.
And the idea is to have like those documents as reference points
But it's also, it's make sure that somebody is capturing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just someone.
Yes,
Yeah, because it is in the public media and
Yeah.
might not otherwise cross your mind.
Yes.
Well, you started some of that, right?
Yeah, she did.
So,
Listen to
email.
email.
I just sent the articles, I didn't write
Right.
down the concerns.
No,
We've done that, yeah.
No, just.
Yeah,
something
and
I-
again, you know, Bina and Maggie and I are here to help you all, so just, you know, just
Yeah.
help coordinate and keep
You
it
can just
simple.
set an alert, like a Google alert, that's what I do for Montgomery Dam or for this committee or.
What do you mean, what alerts you, something news gone into the?
When a news article comes
Oh,
up,
I
it
see.
alerts you.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
not.
It works pretty well.
Any technical.
If
Don't worry,
the
we're
river
gonna
raises
remove that
above a
name.
certain height, then she gets a good.
What were we not calling, not neighborhood socials, just information?
Informational socials held in this neighborhood.
Damn.
All right,
All right.
okay,
So
so.
now the people.
Yeah, we need people, who would like to raise their hand and say, I want to be on this committee?
Which committee?
Oh, Tyler.
I want to be on the education committee.
Tyler, Seth,
Tyler, Seth, do we have?
Dan,
I would like to be on the education.
you want to be in the, because you're on the newsletter.
No, no.
No,
you're
no,
not,
she's
okay.
not.
So Tyler, Seth, Susan, and Dan.
Oh, that's 4 people though.
That's fine. Do not, volunteer. No, if they want to do more, you better volunteer.
Well, how many people, so I don't see Rick on the committee, so he must want to be.
Yeah.
Social.
Rick and I gotta be on the events committee, I guess, right?
Yeah.
What's this gonna entail? Like, I get to set up meetings?
Well,
You just have to bring kids and
What-
we already know.
what-
They merge, it's really education.
You'll have a lot of help. You're gonna have, you're not gonna be alone. So we have Rick.
And then you're gonna still do it.
We have a-
See where we want.
What do you want to do, dual committee then?
Sorry, who's on the events first?
Rick and Ray.
Rick and Ray.
So far. it's
Okay,
good.
I could do
Yeah, all right.
Oh, thanks, Deb.
Rick and Ray almost sounds like a show.
Yeah, Bob and Ray,
Rick
Rick
and
and Ray.
Ray, right?
Is everyone on something?
Rick and Ray, yes, it's
Okay.
gonna be- I think so.
Right.
The newsletter, the written,
That's great.
yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
Each committee.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Yeah, we don't have her
Bob
on
and
there.
Ray?
Bob and Ray.
Yeah.
Sure.
We have a website. All right, so I have a proposal. Can I make a proposal?
You have the floor.
Go ahead, Madam Chair, please.
Oh, you want to do your proposal?
Yeah, so when you address me, you know.
Madam Chair.
thank you.
That's it.
No, so I was thinking that maybe the first homework we can give to each one of the three subcommittees is to fill this out for next time. Is that a agreeable proposal? We can put that, we can put this up on the Google Drive, and we can have a collaborative session on the Google Drive to do that. And then we can report out.
You're looking to populate dates and major milestones.
Exactly.
Okay.
On this.
And we
Because I
can open
think,
your house to the public.
I know.
To host 10 to 110 people.
I'm not the river.
You never know.
Between
I thought we already
12 PM and.
Hold on, everyone, hold on.
We said a while ago that it's gonna matter the sequence, in other words, what comes first, what comes second, what comes third. So if we're gonna post, each committee's gonna post their ideas, then we'll straighten it out.
Exactly.
Okay.
I mean, we can start doing it now, but it's a massive piece of work, and I think it'll be more productive if each one of the three committees meet together and make a proposal, and then come back with the plenary, and we can fine tune.
And to clarify, each subcommittee that's gonna meet, but they're gonna make a plan. They're not just thinking about their jobs, they're thinking about the whole thing.
First, their jobs. That's, because it's a lot.
Yeah, yeah.
And then, I mean, then we'll have three sets of, probably with each subcommittee, this should be filled. And then we can fine tune it all together in plenary session at the next meeting. Is that, sure, does it make sense? Yes, sir.
Our three bullet points here. So, design booklet for voters. Is
Wow.
necessary. Oh,
You don't have.
That's much later. That's like once we have all this.
Oh.
But that's, I guess, the point I was getting at, is that like the bullets here
So-
are like exactly these.
Thank you.
So we could do that now, actually, if you want to refine these, so that we can send them on their way with like the rubric they need to fill out. That would be productive. Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, so. And putting each committee
Giving them an assignment on
an
here.
assignment.
Oh, right.
So
I can also just edit this tomorrow and resend it.
I think that's a good idea, because what's happening here is this is, yeah, we need to rejig this.
Okay.
In light of this, the work of each subcommittee, I think it's cool. So, yeah. And also, by the way, while you're doing this work, if you think of something else that might be, that might add value, that people might want to participate in, please suggest it, right? Don't be constrained by our suggestion. This is just the starting point. Okay,
Yeah, absolutely. That's super important. If you're like, no, we don't ever want to do a survey, let's use that money to do something else. Like, that is fair game.
all right. I'm gonna, you still have a question, Rick?
No, thank you.
You're puzzled.
It's nice to meet you.
You're standing.
That's my-
I will never get used to it. All right, so our next item is the discussion on whether the river pathways topic is really our purview. What can we decide on this? Are we parking lot?
It is on the parking lot now, so I don't know as though we need to discuss this further or not. I
We
mean, I
have
think,
40 minutes left.
Yeah, but we're gonna use that. Okay, so I would just table the pathways, the river pathways. It's fine. We need more time to prep. See that.
Do you mean like whether to just completely remove it from the umbrella?
No, just.
No, look, it's over here.
It's on the parking lot. You do it yourself.
I think there's one question which is whether it's within the scope of the grant.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's first of all, I mean, probably just, I don't feel this committee, since it's being funded by the grant, should necessarily be looking things outside of the scope of the grant.
So I'm gonna, okay, so this is a very good question, so I'm gonna put my name on it and get back to you on whether it's part of the grant.
And I realize the grant, there's some words in there that could be interpreted. One of the yeah.
Cultural words, so.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'll get clarification. Okay. Are we ready for the big reveal?
Yeah.
We need some music.
We'll see if I can.
I'm sure there's a musician among us.
Way more rave. All right.
So this is the start of our website. I sent it all to all of you, and hopefully you're able to click it. It's now a little bit more mobile friendly, so if you open it on your phone earlier in the week, probably looked a little jumbly, but now it should look a little bit better. It's very similar information to what you'll see on the Camden website, so that's by design. We didn't want it to be completely different. But yeah, I don't know if you want to go.
Is that what people would have to type in to get there on the top?
We can, I made like I looked to see what, like a tiny URL, and it's really
Yeah.
easy, so. we
Okay,
can do
yeah,
that.
I just think that.
And on most things, like people will click to it from the newsletter, click to it from, so you can just be like, click here, and then they just, you know. But yeah, we can make a little tiny URL, but upcoming meetings and events, the purpose of you all, and then the newsletters will go here. So committee materials, we don't need to labor through this, but you know,
No, we do.
meeting,
because we-
okay,
No, we do. We're going
I-
to the whole website
okay.
because we want everybody to be
Very
okay with
familiar.
all with the menu and the content.
perfect.
And then we can have the conversation on when to launch it and how to do outreach so that a lot of people know about it.
Okay.
This is our task for this.
And I'll just like add to that, Nina's gonna introduce that Google Drive that we shared so that we can have like working documents as a committee. And one of the things in there is like website edits and updates. So if we can keep this conversation to like bigger picture, like we don't like the general theme, we don't like the headers, you know, the header topics. If there are like specific documents missing that you want included, that would go in the Excel.
So hopefully you all also were invited to this Google Drive. If you aren't, I will resend it. It's very easy. And within the shared drive, we'll go over this after the website, but exactly what Patty was saying, throw in any website edits, updates you want to make. But yeah, for today, just right now, give us sort of big feedback. It looks heinous, you love it, whatever.
I loved it.
I thought it's gorgeous, yeah.
Yeah.
Great.
Colors.
Reports and cities.
Yeah, it's such a
Yeah, the
sweet
logo looks great. We do want to make it a little bigger, so we're working on doing that, but
One thing I noticed about this page was it's a little too big or too overwhelming. I was
Okay.
wondering if you could make the icons smaller
Yeah.
and maybe explain give a little bit more background of what each thing is. so
Yeah.
People will be
I like
more
that.
inclined to click on.
No,
perfect.
I was one that sent those little comments or suggestions in. So.
We will review them momentarily.
A lot.
Don't be sorry, that's exactly what we
The
want.
other thing I noticed is there's no home tab.
I know, if you click here,
Yeah.
it takes you
people-
home, but
it
yeah,
took
we
me a long
should.
time to figure that out.
Okay.
Yeah, so I would do
we'll
like a
take
home
you home
homepage.
somehow.
Yeah, and then I thought the homepage could be more, like, just more details about background, like kind of what we put in the first
Okay,
newsletter, how we wrote, this is, the background of the whole project and why we're doing it. Just adding a little bit of that.
yeah, I think the balance that we keep coming up against is having too much, making it too busy.
Yeah.
Versus that, so like at first we had a whole narrative that like, just like a lot of words, and we couldn't decide, so.
Yeah.
I think, well,
Maybe
I think we can just
do a
keep.
different tab too, you could have like a background.
Totally.
I know you don't want too many tabs.
No, I think.
What are the headers, because from us in the back, we can't.
So this top one is committee materials, future meeting agendas. It should just say meeting agendas, I realize, because it's gonna have past ones as well.
Yeah.
And meeting minutes. So in the meeting agenda, and what's nice is you can either look at them, like you don't have to download everything. You can just look at it on here, or you can download it onto your computer. Sorry. And then meeting minutes also will live here. Similar idea, and then committee members, and we thought about putting a photo of each of you and sort of a little bio or blurb of your background so that people knew, why you're on this committee and what your interest is, and to show sort of the diversity of who you all are that are comprising of this committee. So that's one idea. We have no pressure, something to think about. If you want to send us a.
I think we have some of that.
Yeah.
First newsletter, there was
Yeah.
a short bio for each one.
But you
Yeah.
probably want, I think I wrote those, so you guys are probably gonna wanna change those. Some of you sent.
Yeah, they were, a lot of them were changed in the newsletter.
Newsletter, okay.
Reflect.
They're really short, so I don't know.
Yeah,
if
they're pretty-
yeah.
Do you like that idea? Do you like to make your name and bio up there, or would you rather?
I think it could be handy. I mean, that was one of the, when I was doing the table line, one of the accusations was like immediately that I was not qualified for anything I was doing. So it'd be kind of nice to like, be like, oh, I disagree politely.
As much as anybody in that
I was
community.
gonna say, you're a human being.
Yeah, so it may be helpful to have a little bit of a.
This really works.
It was a really weird day. for me.
What is on the slide board?
When we did the newsletter, I was of the opinion we shouldn't put our pictures in, only because I feel like it makes too big a deal of us. And that we're actually doing a service for the community. We're not like a company that's trying to promote ourselves. We're trying to do work. So I didn't want our pictures.
Just a bio.
Just a bio.
I would move the committee materials from the left-hand side to the right-hand side.
Because
This is for the public, so the reports, readings, and articles, that might be the first one on the left, but
or even FAQ on the far left, maybe that's what people really want to know. Yeah, that's a good point to think about.
On the landing page,
Yeah.
the photo from Norton Pond down through the lake,
Right there.
we can't really see the river.
Right.
And river's only in the name, and it's a watershed project.
Yeah.
And
It's
are we really going,
Yeah.
are we going watershed wide? I don't
Others is
know.
about before.
Yeah.
No,
who has a better picture?
Yeah,
send us some photos. That'd be great.
I mean, a lot of that is not even Camden. That's
Yeah.
an issue. We are. Oh,
Allison
can't-
has a huge library of pictures, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is one of them, and I think I just grabbed one as
Right.
like a
Yeah.
sample for
Yeah,
the
nice place.
website, so,
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, it is so gorgeous.
we will,
It is, I think that like, we're had twofold, where we're like, okay, well, this does capture technically the watershed, right?
Right.
I totally agree your point that like the river's way down there, the river's way down there.
Yeah.
But it's also like the most beautiful suite of photos we have, so we're like,
Very pretty.
Yeah, I gotta use it.
I don't know if we have any quite, you know?
yeah,
Put it
Yeah.
we'll dig through the photos some more. If you guys have one that you really like, then please send it my way, so I don't dig so much.
Parking lot photo contest.
And to that point.
That's
do-
a good
do we
idea. Let's do
include
it.
Watershed in the heading, is that stronger since we're editing so much?
Yeah, we haven't in the past, so.
What did you say?
Sorry.
Watershed in the top.
Oh, the
left of
Megunticook
every
River
page.
Watershed Project.
Did we include watershed?
Is it, what?
What should it just be?
That's in
I mean, it's like, I'm
in our
a
mission, I mean,
wordy person.
but our assignment included the word watershed.
Yes, it's.
Yeah,
So
but,
the question is it the website
but
of
only
the
a
committee or the project?
sorry. I missed the question.
Yeah, because I talked
Talking
over
to
you.
death.
I'm sorry, Seth. Go ahead. My question is it the website of the committee or the website of the project?
I think both would be a good answer if possible.
Yeah.
Then
Because
maybe-
it really looks to me like the watershed we're concerned with is beginning at East and West Dam and everything feeds into the river.
No, if you're gonna put a fish ladder up into Lake Megunticook, it's more than just the east-west dam, just everything beyond that, to up further from that, or up late.
Yeah, no, I don't disagree
But we do have, it's a good, so welcome to the Megunticook River Citizens Advisory Committee homepage.
Yeah.
Yeah, we need to change the tab since committee materials to, like, we'll just make one tab that's about our committee. Like, the logo, if this was both our just on this page.
To the
yeah,
26th.
it's very much.
I
So-
also think, so this might be a question for you or one of you table for Audra, but I do think that the town is gonna still have to post or want to have to post things about the project and the grant on their direct page.
Yes.
So do we want like duplication in different format, or do we take it and tailor it? Great
So-
questions.
So here's the thing, so the logo is the Megunticook, I agree with you, so I need to figure it out, but the logo says Megunticook River Citizens Advisory Committee. So I think the header should be Megunticook River Citizens Advisory Committee. And then somehow we should have maybe a subtagline there that says, you know, providing the Megunticook River Watershed Project.
Yeah, you could have that underneath.
But I don't think it should be that Megunticook River Watershed Project should not be the header,
If it's our own.
because it's the committee's website that's working on the Megunticook River Watershed Project. But
You
there
should just say the project.
El Proyecto.
I know you're French.
So,
Yeah.
Yeah, I do think we should have our own website. I think if it's the greater project, it's just gets so complicated and we're.
because this is not the Nifwich Grants project website,
Right, it's our
where
website.
it's part of it.
And we can include all that stuff.
Of course, we can put links and as Maggie said,
Bless you.
the town will put some stuff on the Nifwich Grant project, you know, and we can collaborate, but I think the point is the citizens advisory committee.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's all good. I just, over the years have heard, you know, we don't want to confuse the public. So if, you know, if we're gonna keep them separate, we should, you know, having another project site for the Nifwip project seems like that might confuse people. That's my gut feeling there. So maybe those, if we can blend and combine.
Yeah. Well, could we have a category within our site?
Yeah, yeah, we can make reference to it.
Grant.
So,
Also because, the Nipid Run is not the only thing that's gonna be dealing with the river.
right,
So,
that's right. Yeah, and it's interesting because when I see the Megunticook River watershed project, I'm not just thinking the Nipwood project. I'm thinking
yeah,
the project, the bigger whatever, it might be stormwater, there's gonna be other things along the way. So I think that was the thinking.
yeah.
It's gonna be really technical, it should say MRCAC.
Mhm.
Oh.
Oh, yeah, it should.
I've been staring at that like, oh my God, we missed that.
We looked at it a lot.
Susan
I
was
don't know how we missed that. Thank you. No, that's the type of stuff we need, because sometimes when you look at something too much, you miss the very obvious.
And this, Mr. Cat, right?
Mr. Keck.
Do you think we need a separate tab for contact us?
Yeah,
When I first went there, oh, what that is, and I couldn't find,
yeah,
or put it on the homepage,
yeah, we should put this little blurb on the front or something, yeah.
make it more obvious. Oh, yeah, or just the top of the page in general.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, we could
It
probably
wasn't
shorten
obvious.
frequently asked questions, just the FAQs to make more space and have some more headers.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally.
A home
And
tab, a
you can
contact
make
page.
educational presenter series, just like presentation
Mhm.
series or webinar series or something.
Speaker series.
Yeah, just speaker
I
series.
like that.
Are you capturing this night?
Are the videos, those speaker series, those are gonna be permanently available, right? Is that through YouTube?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, so it's-
Presumably we should need a YouTube link somewhere up on there. Okay.
I
Ta-da!
really enjoyed watching the recording, by the way. Thank you for.
We did cut the first 20 minutes out finally, sorry. I didn't like it either. Maggie and I just sitting there.
It's humorous, because when I signed into it, it was like, 5 minutes in, I was like, all right, like, how long are, and then I start fast forwarding, it's like, nope, they're still sitting there.
Well, we tried to leave and come back and then we couldn't do it without Janice, and Janice needed to leave, and so we're like, we'll just sit.
We needed like an authentication
Yeah.
number and Janice had to leave, so we were like.
She had to pull over on the side of the road, it was the whole thing. Anyways, we cleaned that up. But yeah, so the past thing, series are down here, the videos, as well as the presentations. And at the end of the presentation, I did compile all the questions that people had, and we worked to answer them. So you'll see, sorry, I'm struggling with scrolling, but you'll see at the bottom of every presentation, we will put the Q&A. And these were questions that we received, live during the presentation, and also ones that were in the chat that we maybe didn't have time for. So I think we.
That just made me think of something, like, that was easy for us for the first one, because it was our own team and we had the time. But these speakers are gonna be like volunteer speakers, so if we get a bunch of questions specific to their expertise, are we asking them to then like answer 20 questions offline?
It's a great question.
Maybe. Is there
Yes.
any possibility
Yes.
of
saving a certain amount of time within each one of these, so that the people that are on anyway, not just the chat, could ask a question as part of the presentation.
Yeah, we
Well,
had
40 of the 60 minutes are for Q&A, but we still ran out when we had our.
I know, but if you shorten the introduction, maybe there will be time at the end. Because I think people expected some time within that hour
Mhm.
to be able to ask questions.
Yeah, we had over 30 minutes of Q&A, but yeah, I think. Mhm.
Well, but the first round went around the panel. It wasn't open to the public.
Right. There were a lot more questions from the panel.
Do we have the recordings from the committee meeting
On the website?
on the website?
I don't know, I'll look into
I don't know, it is committee.
Yeah,
We will certainly have those if they're not.
we can put it, or you can put the link, if the link is in the minutes, then it doesn't, then it's fine.
Yeah, we can link to the YouTube videos.
Yeah, definitely.
Just-
Oh, and the gap analysis, we could put in maybe committee materials or.
Yeah, we have it
Oh,
in
you-
this.
Oh,
What's that?
The gap analysis.
Oh,
We are thinking about kind of beefing out the Explore the Watershed piece. Right now, it's a pretty simple map, but we were thinking of using the Esri story map tool to like, you can kind of follow, you can go up the river with a photo and like the history of.
that would be really cool.
That'd be great.
It's all mapped out, we just need to make it, but it's gonna be, yeah, I think it'll be really interactive and informative.
So you just scroll down and it would like, I don't know if you use that story map, you scroll down and like it pops up and it moves you on the map and gets you like.
So Barbara Dyer has a great history of the river, 250 years.
Yes.
Yeah.
It actually has some materials.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that'd be great.
Yeah,
Good stuff.
Barbara Dyer, she was a town historian. If you
Awesome.
Google,
Yeah.
250 years of the Megunticook River, it comes up and talks about who settled when, what dates were.
That will be fun, we'll incorporate that in.
Yeah. Right, so I think I'm gonna stop the conversation on the website right now, but would ask all of you to take a look at the website at home. I mean, it's easier to do your own, visit of the website and then log into the Google Drive your comments or suggestions to edit. So can we segue into the Google Drive?
Yeah, let me just show you one thing that is important to do. When you get into the Google Drive, you'll see as of now these 3 documents, but we'll add more. Just click it once and then do open with Google Sheets, because if you download it, then I won't see the edits that you're making. Unless you want to download it and then email it to me and then I can upload them, that's fine. But if you just click open with Google Sheets, sorry if you all know all this, but sometimes it's just helpful to get a refresher. And then this is a live document, so I can then see, someone else is already in here and they can type in there and I can type in there and we can all see it together and update it. So it's a live document.
So 2 questions. Number 1, do you want people to go into editing mode?
Yeah, everyone has editing permissions.
And suggestions, so you can see the suggestions or editing?
So I think for this document, just edit. I don't think we need to.
And just so everybody knows how to use Google Drive and Google Docs, okay. Who needs a refresher?
I need an introduction.
Introduction, okay.
Yes,
Okay.
so you'll get an invite and I'll make sure each of you get, oh my gosh, where's my mouse?
It's
Yeah,
just,
we will.
it's like a,
We will help.
it's like a web, it's like a drive, only it's cloud-based. But everything on there is basically, do you use Microsoft Office products, like
Yeah.
Word and all those?
Yeah.
It's basically Google's version of all those, everything is the same.
But they're shared, so you can update.
Had a
for
Google
everybody
Drive
else.
and I could never get in.
You know what?
Yeah.
Well, we will make sure you can.
Yeah.
Can't do it.
Yeah, Bina and Maggie.
Oh, I
And
never
then
tried
maybe I'm
that.
gonna organize a training session or refresher for all of us who need to refresh or learn how to use
Would be
Google Drive.
I'll tell you, I'd like to get some assistance on this, because I've been blocked out of Google, so I'm gonna get back in there.
Oh, you're.
And if-
Huh?
Yeah.
In the,
Background check.
Just I had lost my password, and I had no idea what it is. So, it won't let me in.
Yeah, you have to like call them up to, it's a process.
in the interim, we can also email you these documents.
Right.
You can send me your edits in a
Yeah.
different format
Yeah.
and
I mean, I
I
can
can
get, I can
upload
get
them.
into it on another computer I have, but on my main computer, I can't get in, so.
What a pain.
Yeah.
I'm
But
sorry.
anyways, we'll put that out.
Yes.
Just put that in for the.
You said you did send out the link to the drive already?
Yeah,
Check your spam folder, it often, mine go into my
Because
email
it's coming,
spam.
but it's coming from
That's
Mr. Pratt.
ironic,
it's,
isn't it?
it's
Isn't it?
coming
It's
from,
coming from Mr. Pratt.
yeah, it's coming from the Megunticook River, or email.
Oh, so it's not gonna be under me.
But I will send, after this meeting, I will send a follow-up tomorrow, or by the end of the week.
You're
Um,
gonna have a baby in a week.
2 weeks, we got 2 weeks.
That's a baby. How are you?
So can you give us a tour of what's on the Google Drive?
Yes,
In terms
so
of-
right
Also
now,
reassure people that they can never delete anything.
they can never delete anything.
There is an archived history, so if you accidentally delete something, you can go back. Or we can see every single version and every single edit.
Well, that's why it might make sense for it to be suggestions rather than edits, so that people, so that you know that the track to change for you, so it's not just been changed without your knowledge.
But it tracks it.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I think this is mostly for
Right.
things like give us website comments or.
Yeah. You can put, I think you can like be anonymous if you really want, but hopefully you aren't that worried about it. But yeah, I think if I, like, Courtney updated it at 7:06 yesterday. Anyways, so there's these edits and so the completed column is for us, right? Like, we're gonna know if it's completed. It's mostly just so that you know that I'm tracking these, and I might just delete them when they're completed, but I just wanted to, I put in these two examples so you saw how basic they could be. But yeah, you'll get a link to the Google Drive. These 3 documents are there right now. The website update, go in, write out any things you want on there, you don't want on there, how you want it to look. Again, if this is too cumbersome, just send us an email. That's okay. We can, I just was trying to make it easier for everyone, but whatever's easiest for you works for me. And then the monthly speaker series, if you go in here and then click again, open with Google Docs at the top. So this is sort of our thinking spreadsheet, our thinking sheet. So we can say, okay, confirmed, we know that January we did that, in February we have this guy. These are the ideas. And you guys can add whoever you want on these ideas. And then sort of the expectations of the speaker, I think we should also have a conversation about at some point, or if you guys want to just do that quickly now. Make sure that every speaker knows needs to be informational and factual, 20 minutes of presentations and at least 20 minutes for Q&A. And then Sophie had an idea of maybe creating a PowerPoint template for them so that they, stuck to a certain time limit and stuck to a theme. But yeah, if you have ideas for speakers, throw them on there, reach out to people, reach out to us.
Specifically, we should start thinking about March, so feel free to go give ideas and put them in the March column with notes or.
But we need to add a column because we have month topic speaker and just to add a column with committee member.
Yeah. There's some speakers just to us, right?
Committee member who's.
So a committee member who suggested it.
Oh,
So you can follow up, you know, oh, yeah, Ray suggested this person or Sophie.
Well, I think that would be down here,
Oh, but
under
you-
ideas, someone could put their name in
because
parentheses.
these are confirmed. So yeah, this
Right.
is
Confirm, okay,
Yeah.
good,
Yeah, other ideas though,
okay,
Right.
okay.
that'd be helpful.
My
these
bad.
ideas. Yeah, I
We
just,
can turn that into a table if you want.
yeah, I can do that.
It would sort of be like a speaker contact, whoever suggested.
Yeah, exactly. It's a good point.
Speakers and next.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we can.
Segue into that, we can
Yeah, I think
actually
so.
segue into the next topic. being
Perfect.
Our speakers.
So I'll send out the Google Drive link again and then give a little, a couple tips on how to make it work. And if people still have questions, feel free to reach out.
So to be precise, Mr. Crack will send it the link again, so don't look for,
Well, whatever you think makes more sense. But yeah, I think Mr. Crack for now because.
just so that they're not looking for Dina, no.
Yeah, and I'll be gone in 2 weeks. So if you want to respond, I want to make sure that it's captured.
Not my fault.
And so, before we move on from this
Yes.
too, one of the things that we just talked about is the timing of rollout for the website
yes.
and the next speaker series, the next newsletter, because the NIFLA grant in theory should be finalized soon. So we thought maybe that could be a way of like letting the community know that NIFLA grant has been signed, if we kind of merge all of this outreach into a, like, this grant has been signed in the newsletter and here's our website, we're, working on components of this grant. And but that's probably gonna happen like, hopefully in the next month or two, we're not gonna have a lot of meetings.
So I think so, number one, we should give people time to review the website as it is and make comments. How much time do you think you want? You want until the end of the week? Do that at the weekends? It's gonna snow.
Yeah.
At least through the weekend.
Through the weekend, so-
At least through the weekend.
Next Tuesday?
Yeah, next Tuesday.
Next Tuesday, your comments are logged into the Google Drive. Before that, Ina, can we have a session to train everybody?
Yeah, I'll send the link out and some notes, and then if people have specific questions, can I just follow up? Because I don't know.
I think one-on-one would be better.
Yeah, exactly. I think
Okay,
hosting another thing sounds, I
okay.
don't know how we're gonna fit that all in, so.
And in the meantime, if you wanna, like Dina said, send us questions or edits on the website, like in an email, do it in a bullet, that's fine.
But I'll send the link out, and if you have access or issues accessing the link, let's talk through it, and I'll walk you through how to access it, how to open documents.
So we're gonna assume by next Tuesday, we'll have all the comments in. It's gonna take what, a couple days to tweak it. So by Thursday, we can make an announcement. So I think the announcement should go to the newsletter.
Hold on a second, the person building our website is currently in Spain, so let me just.
He gets back 10 a.m. on Wednesday.
Yeah, that's a little tight for us.
Okay.
What about by
The next, how about the next?
the
Friday?
following Tuesday or whatever, yeah.
Fridays are never good to send emails.
So, yeah, okay.
The
I was thinking like
21st.
deadline to have the website done.
The
This is for you.
21st, I guess that's our presentation. Everything's happening on the 21st. How much can we add on?
The following Tuesday, you can announce it in that speaker series.
Yeah.
Yes, okay, so announce it at the speaker series February 21st.
Yep, it is.
Okay, and then there's a select board meeting as well, so I can put it in the agenda of the select board meeting. So, yeah, okay. And then we're gonna send the announcement to people who have registered for the newsletter.
Announcement about the website.
But maybe we should just loop it into the newsletter, the March newsletter. Or have it be its own email.
Maybe
I
both.
think the more the better,
Okay.
frankly. When is the newsletter gonna be sent?
This one, I'll send it out to this committee, tomorrow morning, and then you guys have it until,
Can I just ask for some parameters on feedback?
yeah.
We talked about this a little bit when we were doing it. Because last time I got like 11 different emails with different suggestions in different formats, which was hard. Then I had to like create a document just to go through all the things that came in. So I don't know if we can put a parameter on like, we're looking for feedback on just, grammatical or link or whatever, rather than like change the content completely, because that becomes rather cumbersome. So I don't know
Yeah,
if
I think
it's-
that was one of the big things we wanted to sort of flush out.
Yeah,
in this
sort of, we talked a little bit
conversation.
about, how often do you ask the whole group for feedback, and it kind of starts to feel like too many cooks in the kitchen, and so, like, yeah, I'm just looking for some parameters on how that feedback comes in. And
What would be helpful?
well, I mean, I think at this point, we wouldn't be making any major content changes, so if you're looking through it and it's like, oh, there's a spelling error, or this link isn't working, or this is factually incorrect, something like that. But if it's like, could you, add some whole new piece of content? I'm gonna gently say, no, thank you. Yeah, so I just wanted that to be,
But I think we may want to, it's a really cool suggestion. And I may add that on the Google Drive, maybe we can have a parking lot for content piece for the newsletter.
for sure. Oh, great, yeah, we're already looking for.
Another thought about the Google Drive too, correct me if you disagree, but folks, like, if you wanted to add the newsletter in MS Word format for folks and send an email, like, this isn't just for us to add material to, it's for
Right.
everyone to be sharing.
Yeah.
You can make folders for your subcommittee if it's helpful, like.
Even though it looks like Audra doesn't have full access, well,
No, me
it's good,
neither.
I just flagged that, it says you don't have permission, so I'll make sure everyone has permission to do
Oh.
things.
I couldn't edit also.
Oh, you could?
No.
Did you open it as an editor? Anyways,
Okay, so I lower it.
no, I'll fix that.
I can. fix it. Okay, so we'll have a parking lot for the newsletter on the Google Drive.
Yeah, that's fine. I mean, it
For
can be a
topics,
thing where we put the content together, and then that's where people can offer feedback before it goes into format or something. But yeah, just because it came in so many different formats, it was a little bit tricky to parcel out all the different.
It was the formatting that was so arduous, right?
Yeah, I mean, the formatting is it's just time consuming. So if that feedback can happen prior to the formatting, then it just keeps from wasting.
Are you gonna give us a deadline for the feedback?
I can do that, whenever it goes out,
That'd be
just say, within the next 48 hours. or whatever.
Exactly.
It's that-
You guys have to do that,
Yeah.
yeah. When you're ready to send it to the rest of the community for feedback.
The one we just did is out.
Well,
No.
it's done, but then, you know, what she's saying, she's gonna send it to the group to
Oh.
say, which is, that's why I was.
But they just, it's just for big red flags.
Right, yeah, it's something. You can't
The
stand.
first one was really helpful to everyone's
For
feedback,
sure.
and now I think hopefully it'll be easier moving forward. But the first one was, you know, who are we, what's our background, that was really essential.
Yeah, and a lot of the feedback was people's like,
Yeah.
oh, that's not exactly.
So I thought that was great that we got, we got. some
Okay,
For
help.
sure, yeah.
All right, we have 5 minutes left. So I just want to touch upon the speaker series and see who, if we have an idea for March to June ideas. So we have a few on the list. Anyone else that, yep,
When we were doing the newsletter, we kind of all agreed, or you can correct me if I'm wrong, but that somebody who is from the Save the Dam would be really helpful earlier on, so that we have an understanding.
Well, yeah, so we talked about this a bit at our planning meeting, and I reached out to Ray directly to ask about Ken Gross, but that's really not a Save the Dams presentation, that,
Right.
correct me if I'm wrong, that would be a historical
Well, that's
perspective.
fine too, yeah, well, I think just sort of that whole perspective would be helpful earlier on.
Does that sound?
So what is it exactly, the historical perspective from?
Well, basically the history of the dams on the river. I mean, Ken is the, in charge of the Walsh History Center and everything
Yeah.
at the library.
Yeah.
And he would actually be speaking as.
I was gonna say, he
Library.
has to speak as a trustee or as a member of the library. He cannot say he's affiliated with the same thing.
Right, that's right, exactly,
Yes.
yeah, right, yeah.
So that is,
Right, so it'd be that
Problem.
kind of
Yeah.
differentiation right
Right,
in
yes,
there.
yeah.
But he would be speaking not about just Montgomery Dam, basically about all the dams on the river, which I think is very important.
Yeah,
Yes,
that historical.
We've had an awful lot of publicity about Montgomery Dam, a lot of people don't know things about the other dam.
For sure.
yes,
They say there'd probably be a recitation of a lot of Barbara Dyer.
yes, yes. And the article, I'll send you the link on the Barbara Dyer.
Yeah.
It's good.
And so, I mean, he would be really doing that, he would not. That would not be a, say the dam issue.
Right.
Just be a history.
Right, and you said the timing, you know, he wants to have some time to get things together, so
Right.
maybe March, maybe April, right?
Yeah. You not communicate with him about that.
Sounds good.
and we also have the Nifwit project officer. The National Fish and Wildlife Foundation.
Right.
They've offered to come and give a presentation. I think we should add them to the list.
Yeah.
Once the grant is signed, so that's a little bit depending on that.
Mhm.
We've also talked about Interfluve.
Yeah.
Interfluve, yeah. We also talked about the Wabanakis or the Abenakis.
The dam maintenance workers, or somebody involved with that process.
So that would be Dave Salomon or Dave, well, Dave Salomon is a better speaker.
I was thinking having both bigs could be cool because one has more of a historical perspective, one has a down perspective.
Okay, that'd be cool, yeah.
But I don't know how to do it, just talk to them on the phone.
But I kind of feel that like, that's the type of thing we should do in the spring when we can go there. And also, you know, what is a dam?
Yeah.
What are the parts of a dam? And what's the sluice way? What's the gate? What does it do? Why do we need it? Why do we build
The
it?
anatomy of a dam.
The anatomy of a dam would be super interesting, more than maintenance. I mean, it can be tied into that.
I think it's like very important since to have a speaker specifically about fish ladders.
So that's Nate.
Is it Nate? Is it?
I don't know if they'll talk.
Well, fish ladders, okay.
And actually, you know, getting into the installation, the construction of fish ladders, the maintenance of fish ladders, what the costs are down the road for fish ladders. This is what people are going to be asking about.
That was one thing I was thinking with Mike at Interfluve is he made a great table in his paper of sort of the cost benefit analysis of a fish ladder, maintenance versus decommissioning a dam, and sort of, I think going through that table would be so helpful for all of us to know how, what does that short-term cost, long-term cost, what does that look like? And he would talk a lot about the fish ladder, so that could be, because we were saying like an economist perspective could be really nice. What is the cost benefit analysis?
Yeah.
The options, right?
So keep them coming and add them to the Google Drive because we're at 5:59 PM.
And yeah, let us know which topics you want for March, because we have to ask someone soon.
Yeah.
So they have time to prepare.
Well, whoever's
Could
ready,
interflude,
right?
whoever could interflude common March?
That would probably be an easy one.
Yeah, because I think that's really important.
Yeah, I agree.
I'll reach out to her.
Thank you for that.
So our next meeting, speaker series is the 21st. 21st is a big day. for the
Big
community.
day.
Big day. It's our Valentine's Day. We have a newsletter, a website, a speaker series. This is awesome.
Forrest's birthday.
Forrest's birthday.
Venus
Venus,
baby.
Baby's birthday.
Who else has something going on the
We're gonna
21st?
be like checking the website
Something happening on the 21st, put it on.
Yeah.
All right, and then March 7th is our next regular monthly Mr. Track meeting. Awesome. Elfie, oh, who is my next co-chair?
Oh, can I find that out?
I
And
think it's me,
Woo!
but I was going to ask if it's possible to switch with somebody and move me down.
It is.
My brother just moved into hospice and I head to Oregon.
Oh.
So I think my brain's gonna be a little,
all right, Tyler would be next after you.
okay, is that okay with you, Tyler?
It'll be okay, I'll just have to look for it, so I'm not gonna be here, well, I'll be here for March 17th, so I can,
You can do it?
yeah, I have 2 weeks in Hawaii, so.
Oh, you're
Nice.
We can meet
Sorry
there.
about that.
Tyler, we can meet there.
Yeah, why is that?
We usually just do like one prep Zoom agenda setting.
It was not like this.
That's fine, yeah.
Now we're.
And thank you, everybody. We've had full attendance at all our meetings.
Yep.
So that's fantastic. So hopefully we can keep that up.
I cannot be here on the 7th.
Wait,
Oh, nice.
We'll go there.
Yeah.
Does everybody have one of these? We'll
Yes.
also put a Word on Excel version on the website, or a version on the website.
Thank you, everyone. Can we get a motion to adjourn?
Move to adjourn.
Second, all in favor of adjourning? Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
You too.
Who's the president? I'm not really sure what all is expected.
She's gonna send it down.
Yeah, you need to throw that away.
Throw that away, because we're gonna do 3 subcommittees and then ask.
So for example, if I have to work these, don't work